Well, I fell in love with racing when I was a schoolboy. I spent far too much time betting and not enough time working. Very lucky that it's worked out, because my exam results weren't necessarily a great deal to fall back on. My name's Hugo Palmer. I train racehorses here in Newmarket in Suffolk. This is my 8th season training. Started in April 2011. I like to walk with them as much as I can, not only to try and take exercise, but it means I start at one end of the string and I get all the way down it, having seen every horse before they exercise. Just really to see how they are in their skin and their eye, and sort of weight-wise, and just do they look as well as I want them to look, you know? They have to train hard to be hard fit, to be performing at a high level. They have to be ripped athletes. You watch the boxers at the weigh-in. You know, the one who wins the fight is the one that there isn't a shred of body fat on him, and he's absolutely ripped and in the peak of physical condition. The boxer that turns up looking a bit like me is not going to win very many, not going to go very many rounds. When I decided I wanted to train horses, I wanted to understand really the whole process of what it took to create a racehorse. So I did bits and pieces when I was at school and university. But when I left university, I went to work at Highclere Stud in Berkshire. It's in the grounds of Highclere Castle, which obviously is famous for Downton Abbey. And that was a sort of, early part of my education. I was there for 6 months. Just looking at a horse dragged straight out of a field with a bit of straw in its mane and tail, it's a real art to get the horse to look like a baby racehorse. It's all part of the same thing, really, with training horses as it is preparing them for sale. You're trying to get them in the best bodily condition that you can, to look strong and athletic and muscular, and to be all of that as well. Just once up Warren Hill, Charlotte. Long Hill, please, Yaz. Long Hill, Kelly, and you, please, Sophie. I've got 2 yards. We've got about 90 here and 50 in the other yard, the other side of town. They've all been told what they're going to do. Depends really on what they've done the day before, what their current program is, how close they are to a race. Some of it's dependent on how they move. Some horses, all of that are going up a hill, but some of them are better trained on the flat. It's more of an overall picture that I'm trying to form of where a horse is in its preparation, its education, its fitness, its readiness, and well-being. So it's a 4 or 5 month process, really, to bring a horse from a complete rest to ready to race. I went from stud work into racing work. It was a medium-sized yard that I worked in, about 50 or 60 horses, and we had jumpers and flat horses. But in a medium-sized yard, it's very much all hands on deck. Muck in and muck out, as they say. 2 years with a trainer called Patrick Chammings, and then just over 3 with another trainer called Hugo Morrison before I went to Australia. My first week in Australia was, I think it's fair to say, the biggest shock of my life. Training of Australian racehorses happens almost exclusively under cover of darkness. I was in the yard for 2:45 my first morning. After a week, I can safely say I've never been so tired in all my life, and I did wonder what on earth I'd done. I was working for Gay Waterhouse, who at the time was the leading trainer in Sydney. And we were in Sydney. There's a huge amount of people in the racing industry around the world that have gone to work for her. She's got a real appetite for teaching young people, which people really respond to. She's got tremendous patience. Gay was certainly a mentor to me, but there's still probably once or twice a year that we get together and chat about things and share ideas, what's happening in Australia, what she's doing new, and she's always fascinated to know what other people are doing new as well, which I think probably what makes her such a remarkable trainer. I came back from Australia, and my intention was to go back there I'd left a girlfriend behind. I ended up having my arm twisted to buy a horse, and then had to find a yard, which was considerably smaller than it is now. Went to the sales and bought another 10 horses. I have to say, I wouldn't fancy starting again. That first horse,
Making Eyes will score for Hugo Palmer and Newmarket.
he was a very good horse. He won a lot of prize money, very big part of my life to start with. Making Eyes' early success was a huge part of perhaps how we got to where we are as a team as quickly as we did. She made us look good probably at a time when we weren't, which was very lucky, and from there got sent more and better types. It's scary actually thinking how much luck you need. July 2015, it'll live in my memory for forever. I suppose now most notably because it was the month that Vanessa and I got married, but most particularly Covert Love winning the Irish Oaks. To win that race, which to be honest was, I mean, so far any of our wildest dreams, to spend a small amount of money on a horse that you dream might win a race or two and turns out to be a champion, is just phenomenally special.
As they enter the final furlong, it's Galileo Gold, Twin Sails, and Ibn Malik. Galileo Gold, home in front, Galileo Gold.
And then Galileo Gold won the vintage at Goodwood. There's an expression, sometimes people say to you when the horses are flying, you should run the yard cat because it'll win. When these horses are really very, very rare to find, and to find two in the space of 10 months. I'd love to pretend it was a stroke of genius, but it's a stroke of luck.
It's Galileo Gold and Frankie have won the St James's Palace. Cocker in second place, then Ortard in third, and the pace setter Kimbrick in fourth.
As the yard grew and as we became more popular as a trainer, you know, I keep saying we, it's not just me, it's not, I'm in charge, I'm the CEO as it were, but there's a team of 65 of us preparing these horses to be as good as they can be, and as our popularity grew, we needed more boxes. We didn't have a Guineas colt this year, but for the first time we're dreaming that White Mocha might be the Derby horse. We've got some lovely 2-year-olds just starting to run as well. So, and Corrosive, who's won both his starts this year. I think hopefully we'll be Royal Ascot bound in a month or so's time, and Mutasadir as well, who should be running again in the next week. So, plenty others just bubbling along underneath the surface too.